My garbage person is once again right-wingers 24/7 whining about pop culture. Here is the first. It's John Del Arroz, a sci-fi author who, by the way, you can Google other interesting stuff in his past. So the Masters of the Universe trailer came out, and he took issue with the screenshot on the left. You can see there where it's the guy who plays He-Man, and it says he/him. He says, now they're making a Masters of the Universe and giving He-Man pronouns. These people won't stop until they ruin everything. And there's a lot that I like about this. The main one, though, is this tweet from Cal that says they're giving He-Man pronouns. I laughed so many times this morning when I saw that. When somebody quote retweets you with they're giving He-Man pronouns, you have to no longer be on the internet. You have to run away in shame. Now, he's not going to, but he should. If he had a backbone, if he had an ounce of, I don't know, some sort of traditional masculinity, he'd be too embarrassed to ever come. But they're giving He-Man pronouns, which is just so good. You can also point out that John Del Arroz in his tweet used 3 pronouns of his own. Again, they're really getting into everything, aren't they? And then I looked to see how he was responding to the many replies he got to this because he was being dragged on the internet. And I took this one screenshot to show that in one continuous span, this is not edited, he basically said the exact same thing about, oh, they're gonna have a strong woman who's showing him how to do things and it's a diverse crew. His life is that he just keeps sending the same whining message about the fact that there's gonna be a strong woman. Oh, I don't wanna see a woman in my movie. Over and over and over and over again. And I just think that is so utterly pathetic. And by the way, if you had watched the trailer to Masters of the Universe, it is obvious that that is a joke about him being He-Man. Or at the very least, if there is anything serious to the beginning of the movie, having him working in HR with a he/him thing, it's playing to the people who think men have been emasculated, and later in the movie, he's gonna get a big sword, he's gonna have a tiger, he's gonna be the strong man. It's not teaching people that like we should all have pronouns and that's not at all what it's saying. These people aren't just whining and pathetic. They are so deeply illiterate of art. They have no ability to understand what's going on in the books they read, the movies and shows they watch, even the trailers they watch. They cannot tell what any of it is. They just want to whine. And I want to briefly mention a couple of other things, but Brett, first jump in on that.
I just like, there's an amazing, like similar to an Onion article that I read somewhere where they were like, Ben Shapiro releases his review of Wonder Woman or Wonder Girl, Supergirl like 6 months early. Because they already know what they're gonna say about it. What are you talking about? Can you believe there's a strong woman in He-Man? Her name is She-Ra, and she's a strong woman. That's like in the original thing. Also, this advanced story of He-Man. Dude, have you seen the documentary about He-Man? The documentary about He-Man is that they were like, okay, Star Wars figurines are huge. What can we do over here at Mattel? And they invented the action figure first based on what they had that they could make quickly. And then they came up with a story around it. When you're talking about their interpretation of art, it's great that that improv game gave us like the thoroughly insane Dolph Lundgren movie that I grew up on. And the awesome pillowcase I wish I still had. But like, get over yourself. And also these guys always try to create like new studios that are gonna cater to like non-woke content, and it always sucks. Because they don't understand that these movies have to have a heart. And people have to be pulling for folks because they're developed characters with weaknesses. Heroes have weaknesses, they're supposed to, but these guys are so bad at art that they're critics and they're not creators. But then they complain when people make successful franchises like Barbie was. The wokest ass movie of the year was also the most profitable.
Yeah, great point. And by the way, on Reddit, I get constant ads for Daily Wire TV shows and stuff like that. They can't make the art good, but man, they have unlimited money to try to ram it down your throat. Anyway, in terms of like, I never really watched He-Man growing up. I think I had a couple of the toys of it. By the way, I love that like the damn feminists snuck a she in She-Ra. They can't just let her be a woman. They have to put it in our face. Anyway, so I watched the trailer with no real like dog in the fight or whatever, and it looks good, and I'm gonna probably go see it. I mean, it definitely looks like kind of a ripoff of Guardians of the Galaxy and Thor put together into one movie, but you know what? I like Guardians of the Galaxy and I like Thor. So there are worse strategies you can pursue. Anyway, I also just want to briefly mention Meghan McCain because we mocked her earlier this week for posting a tweet that she had to delete. She also posted this: want to know one of the best things about Mr. Rogers growing up? I never knew anything about his political opinions. He just entertained kids. That's it. Except that's very much not it, as there were lots of great replies, but this one, where he literally had a segment desegregating a tiny little foot pool because it was a politically relevant thing that he cared about, or as everyone has seen, his testimony before the Senate to try to get money for public broadcasting, where he got a Republican to switch over to his side. He did weigh in on politics. Now, he wasn't on social media, it didn't exist yet. But it's God, she's so stupid, so stupid. And I also wanted to give you an update on last week's garbage person, where it was Stephen Miller who said that the like 94-year-old William Shatner should be in charge of Star Trek or whatever. Well, William Shatner responded to that, saying, I'm so on the same page with you, Stephen. The fact that they have not cured hyperopia by the 32nd century is an abysmal oversight on the writers. I think the shtick he's doing is pretending that Stephen's issue with the show is that only like one person had glasses on the bridge crew and not that he was like appalled by the race and feminism stuff. So William Shatner's playing a kind of subtle game there. He says, yeah, Paramount Plus needs to up the budget so that they can get more glasses on the crew. Shame on the line producers. That is what you meant, right? I'm ready to assume command of the series, call me. So he's having a little bit of fun with it, and I do like that. But just to twist the knife in Stephen Miller's back a little bit more, I just want to read this quote from Gene Roddenberry, the guy who was actually in charge of Star Trek. He said, Star Trek was an attempt to say that humanity will reach maturity and wisdom on the day that it begins not just to tolerate, but take a special delight in differences in ideas and differences in life forms. If we cannot learn to actually enjoy those small differences, to take a positive delight in those small differences between our own kind here on this planet, then we do not deserve to go out into space and meet the diversity that is almost certainly out there. If you are shocked that Star Trek is woke, it's because you do not know anything about Star Trek. And that's all I have to say about that. Those are our garbage people of the week. Many of you voted for the community garbage person of the week, 64,000 of you, in fact. 3% went to Elon Musk for trying to buy the Kentucky Senate seat for $10 million. 7% went to Scott Jennings for downplaying the DOJ not releasing the Epstein files. Scott Jennings apparently is an honorary member of the Pedophile Protection Force. 12% went to Stephen Miller for telling local Minnesota police to stand down and surrender. And 78% went to Donald Trump for demanding Greenland because he didn't get the Nobel Prize. Well, joke's on us, he got Greenland. He got the same deal that we have now, maybe. We'll see. Thank you to everybody who voted. This, though, is the hero of the week, going a little bit more positive. 55,000 of you voted. 5% went to Representative Justin Jones for calling out ICE on Sean Hannity's show. 9% to Zoran Mamdani for calling to abolish ICE. 33% went to the Danish politician who told Trump to F off on trying to take control of Greenland. But 52% chose the hero of the week this week being the EU for freezing Trump's trade deal over Greenland threats. Now, apparently they've all decided to disarm over all of that stuff, but it was good that they stood up to him economically. And it does seem like that's maybe the thing that got Donald Trump to blink a little bit. So good news there. Great work, EU.